folks. Barry here again. Sorry to bother you. I want to thank Jim Jager for inviting me a second time this year. Part of that is that, Jim does wondrous things for us in finding speakers every year as the pool of speakers shrink. So I let him know and other people know that he could always count on me in an emergency. Not that this is one of those, but okay. You know who I am, 50 years with the plants, nursery, etc. Partially retired, running these plants on Facebook. So we're gonna have a little bit of a hybrid, strange presentation tonight. And I'm gonna beg for your forgiveness if there's some mistakes. I'll try to do as good a job as I can. The subject matter is, of course, Chester Skotak on the left there. That's his lovely wife, Lorena. And this picture is circa 2016 in China. Now, the thing you have to know right off the bat about Chester, he's a very free spirit, a great guy, and he doesn't make a penny off of the great Irrigelias that you and I love. I'm serious. Maybe he'll ship them into Florida to one or two of his nurseries that he trusts, and then he puts them in their hands to then stabilize them and to propagate them. Now, the reason that these things end up being expensive for us is that it takes forever to grow the variegated plants, and you can't clone them. Whereas, if you see this little beautiful Guzmania in his hand, he does a lot of work with Guzmanias for the mass market, and that's how he makes his living. I mean, he's based in Costa Rica now. I'm going to give you a little other biographical stuff in a minute, but he sells some stuff locally. But by and large, he has focused as long, meaning 30 years, on hybridizing great Guzmanias and even some Fresias, and he works with Tillandsias and ananas, pineapples, and other things. But this one, for instance, he licensed to one of the two or three that he had special, that he worked hand in hand with the Chinese giant nurseries, and said, "What do you want? What will actually sell to Chinese citizens? As a house plant?" And they said, "This size, this color." So he used what he had in the nursery, but he also spent about another 5 years developing things specifically for them. So he's a very interesting man. He's a very simple man, but a very interesting man. Okay, let's move on for a minute. So what we're doing is this. We're going to look at things that I have off of Facebook, stuff I have off of Google, stuff I have from Chester Direct, and we're going to go online in a few minutes, every so often, to research stuff, because part of what I'm doing tonight, most of you are very computer savvy, but I wanted to make a very simple explanation of how to find what you want to know about bromeliads online. And so I'm going to show you it, and then eventually what I have an email with links to the sort of the 5 or 6 most important places on the web, which I'll send to Jean, and she'll send it to you. So in other words, whatever I'm teaching you tonight, you don't have to memorize. You'll get an email with the websites and be able to do your own research. Okay, here's Chester and Lorena again. That's funny. Chester said to me, we've become good friends over the last 10 years. This is a black beauty. Part of what Chester does is, over time, he's been able to identify cultivars, meaning some of the plants, not that many, but a few are just sports. Okay, so that means you're growing a certain kind of, like this, or Landiana, of a different kind, and this pump comes up. Well, you pull the pump off, and it's unusual, and then you hope to God it's stable. And if it is stable, then you, whoops, I just moved that. I'm sorry. Somehow that got moved. Oops, sorry. So if it is stable, then what you can do is you can grow it out and provide it to collectors. But it's slow. Especially if it's not stable, then you got something you're gonna throw away. All right, here's the, where was it leaving you? Let's start with the basic facts. Born in 1952 in Dallas, Texas, and then grew up there in around 1960. I specifically asked him, I talked to him Saturday, how'd you get your first bromeliad? And he said, walking back from high school one day, he found in the trash, he found a beat up and burned up Equalizer fasciata and took it home and sort of babied it. But what surprised him so much was that even though the plant was kind of ugly and bloomed out, these pups appeared. And right away that fascinated him. Okay, by 1973, I think it was alone, without his, his father and mother, moved to Florida. And even Texas, Mississippi, Florida, you're going to see Tillandsia bailey, you might see Tillandsia fasciculata, and of course, the ultimate southern bromeliad that's in every film in the world. Tillandsia osteoides, Spanish moth. So those sort of prepped him, and he started reading up on it, and around 1973, he went down to Mexico, and went with some friends, and they went collecting, they went hiking the mountains, and he spotted Equimea bracteata in the wild, and got some seeds, brought those home, and grew the seeds, and so he was smitten with the plants. And he can't quite put his finger on it, somewhere maybe 75 or so, he had enough plants, and he just started playing with the pollen, and it interested him. And all right, let's get off this dumb slide and get something better. So, Equimea Roberto Menescal, named after a famous Brazilian botanist. And it's a dark Chantini, but again, this is one of these variegated sports that he identified that, quote unquote, came out of nowhere. Look at that. Now, if you get a cheap, tiny pup, they're like 100. If you buy a plant like that, they run about 750. But when this first came out 25 years ago, they were like, a couple thousand. But what a stunning plant. That's an especially nice one. This one is in Thailand. And so now, you have to bear with me because the names are on the slides, but I tried to hide them. This is Equimea Yellow Ghost. And so one of the things about Chester that's very interesting, and it's true of most hybridizers, I'll finish the biography. Well, that's most of the biography right there. So let me finish the biography. In 78, he moved down to Costa Rica, and I don't know whether he found this quote in a book or made the quote up himself. He said to me, in life, a man needs to marry a great woman and be in love, build a house, and write a book. And as of about 10 years ago, he had completed all three, and he'd written a book, which is called Searching for Miss Fortuna, and I'll show it to you later in the cover. And it's sort of a playful, semi-fantasy, semi-reality thing about searching for well, I'll show you the Guzmania soon. Miss Fortuna is a Guzmania that was discovered down in, I think it's in Brazil. All right, so he works with Equimeas, not that extensively, but this is Black Beauty again. And, someone else may say, nah, I was the one that found this. Chester doesn't really care what people do. He loves the plants. Doing the things like this and the Neurogelias are just a labor of love for him because he makes virtually nothing off them. The other thing he's been doing, and where he makes a fair amount of his income, he had a contract with Del Monte, as in Del Monte Canned Foods, to develop new pineapples. That was for a decade. I don't know if he's working with them anymore. He's been, excuse me, he's been working on pineapples all his life. Hold on. And so, if you saw in the last sort of 3 or 4 or 5 years, a spineless miniature pineapple that showed up at Trader Joe's and showed up at Home Depot, those are his hybrids that have been cloned off. There are Europeans who have made miniature pineapple hybrids, okay? Those are the ornamental ones. What he's now developing, this is astonishing, he's hot on to creating the first truly sweet single-serving pineapple. In other words, and he's got a purple one, he's got a orange one, and a red one. So you can imagine a kid could potentially take this to school. Obviously, you need something to cut away the skin. But, anyone, an adult, whoever, you can eat it like an apple. It's an incredible idea. And the point is, most of the miniature pineapples are terribly acidic and horrible. And he's developing sweet ones.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, on the pineapple, go back to the last.
Well, these are the same ones. Those are just harvested.
Oh, really? 'Cause
Yes.
The leaves of the pineapple look
Variegated.
yellow and.
Yeah, they're variegated. They're striated. That's right.
But the leaves of the plant don't match
Yes,
that.
the Chester is the master. You're going to see The bulk of his hybrids in the last 20 to 30 years are very complex. He's interested in beautiful leaves. So you're going to see striation, alba margination. Technically, this is alba margination. But the point is, he's interested in creating plants that are interesting both in leaf and flower. So, and
Jerry, I have a question.
sure. Back.
On pineapples like this, can you cut the plant off and expect it to grow?
They are genetically the same as far as propagation as any pineapple in the world. He's just put about 20 different ones over 20 or 30 years.
Okay, but even a standard pineapple like you get at Vons or Costco
Yeah.
or whatever, you can cut the plant off and grow it?
I'm saying yes. Yes,
You can?
of course you can. What is this? I don't want to spend too much time on pineapples, but it's important you should know. Over the year, there's about 15 or 20 species pineapples that come from all over South America and Pacific Islands. The one that most of us grew up on is a hybrid called Smooth Cayenne that was developed by Dole. And you'll remember that it starts to get nice and sweet right as it starts to go bad. And generally they were very acidic, okay? And there was a whole other hybrid they used for canning. What happened in the last 15 years was a pineapple emerged out of Costa Rica. There's a whole mythology about it, but the reality is it's called gold. And this is what has taken over the market. You're talking about a $30 billion worldwide market. Gold was a seedling of a 65-year-old field worker for one of the independent pineapple growers. He happened to put some seeds in a hothouse. They grew up. And when they gave him a retirement party, he gave the 7 seedlings to the owner, who then grew them out and discovered that one of them was unbelievably 3 times as sweet, half the acid, and when they worked it up, they tested it by, one of the things you have to work with tropical plants, it's hard, tropical fruit, is can they take refrigeration? Because many can't. In other words, if you refrigerate them on the way to market or during storage, you ruin them. Well, gold could take refrigeration. Anyways, all of these things are part of Chester's targets. He has a strange sense of humor sometimes. He has another, I couldn't find the slide, but there's another hybrid called Mini-Me, and he had the little statue of Mini-Me from the movie standing next to it. Here's Chucky and his bride with their pineapple. So look at this. This is getting closer to this is for a main market now. It's a regular size. It's a beautiful red, shiny skin. He says it's about 20% sweeter than gold. It's got orange fruit, and it has an incredible shelf life. So at some point when he's ready, he will approach one of the bigger companies and say, I'm ready to license this. All right, so now he does some, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm trying to give you a broad view of his output. This is Androlecmea, hold on. Sorry, Androlecmea Dean. And I tried to get a picture of it in bloom, but I couldn't. It was copyright protected. I didn't want to touch it. But it's got a great spike on it. So it's Androlepsis times ecmea, Androlecmea Dean. And the other thing about Chester, I just knocked it out of kilter, is he's very funny with the names. Oops, sorry. He's funny with his names. All right, so here's one thing you have to understand. He's got a big nursery. I don't know, it's 5 or 6 acres. You're talking about somebody who's running maybe, 100 or 200 breeding lines at a time. So every year he's putting in, 75 to 100,000 seeds. And so you're talking about something that takes up no space for the first couple of years. Then when they're 2 to 3 years old, they take up a lot of space. And you gotta wait till they're 3 or 4 years old to see what they are. But 99% go into the garbage heap, go right round up, turn to compost. You'll see a picture in a minute. When you see what Chester's garbage is, you'll cry. Because Chester's garbage is like, it's like walking the gates of heaven. I don't know how to explain it. So I'm gonna show you stuff that you'll know by name and stuff you've heard of. And then at the end, I'm gonna take you to Facebook and show you his shots of stuff that nobody else knows about. He puts them on my planets. He puts them, if you're a friend, you can go see his photos. All right, big, beautiful, look at that, red with a red marginated edge, no name. And, there's only so many pictures of him. This is him. He goes collecting still to this day. He's turning 66 this year. He's in good shape. Some kind of incredible Variesia, most likely. It might be, no, that might be, that's a Guzmani, I think. But he goes Panama, he goes all over the place. Bad shot, incredible plant. Look at this, it's just perfection. One of his things is he has this, he will wait to cross a plant 3, 4, 5, 6 generations before he releases it. He's not interested in releasing bad plants. That's part of this thing of culling, of throwing away so many bad plants. But, let's see. All right, back 1 second. That's a different Guzmania from the trade show in China from the first shot we saw. And they flew him in, they wined and dined him, and they're selling, I don't know, 1 million plants a month or something in China. And this is there in China with Mr. De Roos on the right there. De Roos plants in Holland. Between them and Bach, B-O-K, those are sort of the top 2 Bromeliad mass growers in Holland. I don't know. So now this, you'll see, this kind of reminds you of Fosperior or Marguerite, but he'll keep this, and he may not want this one itself, but he may reserve it for breeding purposes. And again, I'm going to show you how complicated this will get. Look at this. This is just beyond belief. Okay, you're looking at full-grown Alcantarias, all the best variegated ones. This is his private garden for breeding. But look at that, that's crazy. I mean, some of you may or may not know, Alcantarias are hard to get. They're not that hard to grow, but they take forever. I mean, 10 years at least to develop. And those are mature, and he'll bloom and preserve pollen. There's just a nice shot of him collecting ancalariums. Again, I tried not to do that many pictures of him, but I think we're done with that. Okay, I'd rather give the right name. Here it comes. There it is. Oh, no, it's one that I didn't mark. But it's a Norman Bates. Norman Bates is one of his great crosses. Probably his regular Norman Bates. It's hard to see in the shop. Let's just move on. So here's an ancalarium, probably one of the greatest ones I've ever seen. And so he grows a lot of species stuff too. He's a collector like us, but he's just the best collector. I've never been there. I want to go. I want to try to go next year. But he's got, wild Tillandsias, wild Dickeas, wild ancalariums. Whoops, sorry, we jumped. Go back. So this is Miss Fortuna. It's a wild. You say, well, it's not a hybrid? No, that's nature does some of the best plants in the world, and there probably are sort of quote-unquote hybrids. But look at that. And so Miss Fortuna, it was used in a lot of very famous breeding. There it is again. For European hybrids coming out of Holland and out of Belgium. And I think we're in the Guzman. That's his son, one of his sons, just as prolific. He has 8 children. And this is his son, Chester. And, Chester is very interested in developing Guzmanias. So this is one you may have seen her already in the trade here in California, in the United States. That was developing. We're jumping around in time. I'm sorry about that. There's nothing I can do about it. This is probably from a decade ago or more. But again, he has this very substantial breeding program for Guzmanias because he loves them. He also collects and hybridizes Pitcairnias. And most of us say, Pitcairnias, like weeds. It's the single, look at these. Look what those are. That's his hand. Those are 3 plants. I mean, cute, can you say, is that cute enough for you? You could put that on your lapel. I go nuts for these. I don't know that, but, and look at this, another ultra miniature. Now, here's the thing. This may take up less space in the nursery, but just because it's a miniature doesn't mean he's been able to change the metabolism. That takes 5 years from seed or whatever it is that any other Guzmani would take. So you still got a significant. All right, we're getting into the colored up into the Neos. This is Balboa. So this isn't, a larger mini. He probably has, I'm gonna guess, around 50 just to die for miniatures. I mean, there's Gizmo and Tom Thumb and Tiger Cat, all these. He's been doing these for 30 or 40 years. They're all fantastic, in my opinion. I wish I had more of them. So, all right, hold on. I'm sorry, there's just no way to do this but to look at it myself. I think this is Big Bubba. Yeah, Big Bubba. And that's an old one. I mean, in other words, this is going back like 30, 35 years. It's one of his older ones. So you gotta understand that most of his plants enter the United States because of the deals he made years ago into Florida. And then the Florida growers grow them, and the Florida local collectors have them, and they make sure the price stays high. And it's not out of greed, it just takes so long to do these things. But I don't know if you'll find some of them out here. You can always look at what's, Michael's Bromeliads. Do you guys know that name? Out of Florida? There's Tropiflora and Michael's Bromeliads are the two that have the most secondary ones from Chester. So, where are we? This is Blushing Zebra. See, because this one has more leaf matter. It's more upright. Some of the ones you'll see are more vase-like, and you can see that the parents are a little less balanced. This is about 10 or 12 inches, so we're getting to what you call a midi. All right, so we gotta go a little faster. Bold Zebra, terrible shot. So this one's different because the pups grow differently, and there's a different form to it. When I see he throws away a lot of stuff, he's dumb. If something is good, even if they look a little similar, he's gonna keep it. All right, where are we now? This is Brain Freeze. And that's a pretty big one. That's probably about 14 inches. Now again, why are his hybrids better? Look at the conformation, look at the leaf count, look at the alba margination. You really don't have that many, or any, half leaves. In other words, in the sort of crappy hybrids that are variegated, you get one leaf that's, alba marginate on one side and all green on the other. He'll breed that out if he likes it. So, and then the light purple banding you're seeing in this, it probably comes from Concentrica, meaning most of his other stuff in the Norman Bates line, he's inheriting the various variegations and striping from things like Ampullaceae, it's a miniature. But you'll see, I'm going to show you in a minute how complex some of these hybrids are. Let's keep moving. Okay, you've seen this. This is in my other discussion for the San Diego show. Cantankerous. But I mean, is that just crazy? And I understand for some people, these look fake. They're almost too much. And there was a period in my life, and maybe 30 years ago, where I didn't really like variegated plants at all. But now I go nuts for them. But again, pay attention to the balance, the leaf count, the conformation, which describes how full the plant is in terms of the leaves are not going off at weird angles, and look at the growth habit with the pups. It's a winner. All right, now I think we're into, one second, let's see where we are. This might be Captain Moxley. Some of these I have more than one slide of. Let's see, damn it, sorry. Yeah, I think that's Captain Moxley. Yes, it is, Captain Moxley. Some of these things he names after people that his dad fought the war with, stuff like that. There's Moon over Fort Dix. Here's Moxley. So sometimes I'm giving you repeat images to show you that in and around the collectors and the collecting, people that are selling in the trade, there are some different clones. All right, Moxley. I think there's another Moxley. Let's see. Nope, we're moving on. This is Crayola. What is this? Castigado, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, Castigado. And so this is from about 25 years ago, and it's a much bigger plant. That's a can be grown as small as 12 inches, but usually they're about 20 inches. And he's got one called Lorena, you'll see it in a minute, and Picasso. Those are all in this earlier period, and you'll notice that this has great balance in the variegation, but there's no banding here, because that was something that took him something like 20 years to be able to hybridize in for his program. we're talking about, this kind of breeding, it's like being a Zen priest. I can't explain it almost any other way. I think this is Clarice. Yeah, that's Clarice. There's a line of them, named Norman Bates and Clarice, all from the Silence of the Lambs movie. And this looks a lot like Zonatus, right? The species. And maybe this isn't such a great plant, but when they're grown well, the conformation and the spread of the leaves and the form are spectacular. And great banding, of course. Let's see, where are we? Let's see. Code red. Your heart stopping, your code red. So again, this is probably a midi size, not quite the minis. And what's this, Dorothy? Yeah, Dorothy. And many of you will have this. This is around. Sorry, it's such a tiny photo. But that's a bigger plant, maybe 14 to 16 inches, not even a midi. But look how wide those leaves are. And again, the key feature of all of Chester stuff, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's just true. It's the conformation, the way the leaves are spaced, how they fall, how many there are, and how equal they are. And because he pays great attention to it. And now we're in a territory of something that probably most people will have. This is called Equalizer. And that's been around in the Florida trade for a long time. Again, this is one of the ones from 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And looks a lot, sort of similar to Milagro. And you'll see that well, what's this? Where are we? Sorry. Goosebumps. So again, this is a midi, or almost midi, but very different. You've got speckled variegation. Well, you've got variegation and speckled spots. But look at the growth habit. It puffs close into itself and forms these incredible clumps. And let's see, keep going. Where are we? I think we're at hellacious. Let's see, heat wave. No, I'm sorry. What is this? Cool red dwarf equalizer, goosebumps. Oh, Harpo. Harpo as in Harpo Marx. And that's not one of the best ones I've seen, because it's a great plant, but it's still, fantastic. All that. And then this, I love this thing. Let's see what this is. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. Oh, smarter than me. Thank you. I can't see that. Heartstopper. So whatever I name the slides is up there. Okay, good discovery. Carolinea, the old species, and then Perfecta, which was the use of Carolinea by the Dutch and the Germans to create a really high mass-produced plant for Europe. Heat wave. So that one, again, it's an interesting thing. The leaves are more spread out, but again, you've got a nice conformation. And they're just sheerly so collectible and so much fun. Hellacious. Now that's a big plant. This is only halfway grown. This gets about 18, 20 inches. I've seen them that big. What's this? I can't read it. Hot pink, sure. Hot pink. And again, we're going backwards and forwards in time in terms of his output as a breeder. It was very difficult. One of the things I asked him on Saturday, I said, Chester, you would make my life so much easier if you had a master list, if you kept any notes over the years. He said, well, I have notes on each plant and what I did to create them, but he says, I have no idea whatsoever how many I've ever hybridized, and I have no master list. He's not that kind of guy. Invincible, one of my favorites. Right, move on. Irazu. He's got a little miniature beauty called Palmeiras, which is his town. And Irazu, that's one of the volcanoes in Costa Rica. So, and they experience earthquakes like every week now. What does that say? Can you make it out?
It's off the page.
It's up there, right there. That's where he was reading it. I can't make it out. Oh, it's another Irazu. It's just a different, sorry, it's a bad image of Irazu. And we got Linda Cathcart, who is the wife of Dennis Cathcart, who is, that's the owners of Tropiflora. And, he started 40 years ago, tropical flora, and was one of the pioneers to really do commercial growing. And so this is Lorena, named for his wife. I think there's a better one coming up. This is Lorena Lecter. he's got a what do you call it, Lecter, the other guy from the movie. But so this is a very strange looking thing, right? Broad, but even so, he's got a fairly good green margination there. And Lorena, this is the better form of Lorena that I've seen. Now you can see why it's named after his wife. Look at the plant. And I think this one's grown in Thailand, and it's just strange. Like if you go to Planet Bromeliad, or any of my groups, Planet Nerogelia too, but Planet Bromeliad, the Thai guys, collectors come on, and your jaw drops. Because I don't know if it's the water chemistry, it's obviously the warm temperatures, but they will have 3 or 4 times the leaf count. Then even if we grow them here in hothouses, I don't know what it is, but they come out spectacular. And I think this is luminosity. It's a little bit like starburst, and a little bit like the other one with the speckles. All right, so now we're going to take a little side trip here for a minute and really try to understand how hard this stuff is. So that is grown in Thailand, but it's already in Australia. This is only released about 5 years ago, called Lucifer. And this is one of my favorite plants ever that I've seen in my life. I like the dark ones. I like the way that the dark concentrates at the center. I've seen it with wider leaves, but look at the conformation. All right, so, and this is that is directly from, you can find this on the BSI registry, but those notes are directly sent to me an email from Chester. All right, so this is what's called a complex hybrid. So you got the first hybrid, and at the top ones, in the bigger parentheses, that's the seed parents. The other one is the pollen parent, but you got Camellia Hannibal Lecter. Well, Hannibal Lecter has 2 steps to it. So Hannibal Lecter alone took 5 years or 6 years. Then you cross the Camellia variegated, which he took, to trade secret. It was actually a lineated form. That's where the lines go straight instead of across. That right there, that one first parent, part of the parent, you're looking at 7 to 8 years. Now you go times Norman Bates. Well, Norman Bates is a 7-year hybrid. Now, again, he's doing something that's parallel. But this is crazy. Now you go times Hannibal Lecter times Skotak's tiger. Well, that's the first part of the pollen parent times Skotak's tiger, which Skotak's tiger was actually a CV, a cultivar that he found and developed. So that in other words, you're going back and forth from species to hybrids, and then you're back crossing against the parent. I mean, there's 25 years of work in here, maybe 30 years. Yes, some of it's parallel, but and look at the plant. To me, I mean, outside the Bromeliad world, if you were to put this up at auction at Sotheby's, I think it would go for $5,000, $10,000. It doesn't, but to me, it's that good. All right, that's fine. All right, what do we got here? Martin, this is an oldie. And again, you can see, right away, I think you get a feel for it. The less complex ones are the older ones, because he was sort of, learning his steps. I think we're at Milagro, yes. Now, we have Milagro here. You'll see in a minute the one that was in our show here at Culver City. I have a photo. But it looks different. There's many clones out there. There's other ones they call Predator and Predatress in Australia that I think are really Milagro. This is the one from our own Culver City show. That's our basketball court behind it. I don't know whose plant this was. I don't know if they're here tonight. But again, this is Milagro, but look how much wider the leaves are. This is one of the best clones I've ever seen and grown incredibly. Yeah, I just love this. And so you've got alba margination, spotting, but you'll notice the absence of the tiger stripes. So this places it like 20, 25 years ago. And where are we here now? Mojo, bad shot. Let's just move on. Morado. And this is a fairly big one, a nice one. And more of a stair-step one, meaning the leaves are very close together. Mosquito. I think that's a midi-sized one. And I'm just gonna move quickly. This, I wasn't sure if it was his, but look at that, that's a beautiful thing. I don't have a name on it. What does that say? Sorry. Oh, so this is, we're gonna see more of the unnamed ones. This is brand new. This is like 2 years old, part of the breeding program. You know, he might release it. One of the things Chester, it's just his personal choice, he doesn't like leaves that are riddled or twisted or that have rumples in them. He'll breed those out or he'll toss it. So he may not, you know, you and me would say, oh, give me that plant. But he might not. Here's another one, brand new, a couple years old. Undoubtedly, this one will probably go to market. But again, what's he gonna make? He'll sell it for 25 to 50 bucks to one of the Florida growers who it'll take 10 years to reach us. You know, please plant it on my grave. Most of these we'll never have, but that's okay. Not Clarice, I think it's Heat Wave. What does that say? No, Norman Bates. This is the true Norman Bates right here, as in Silence of the Lambs. And the other breeders have some that are, you know, Heat Wave. Lisa Vinzan has one called Cat's Pajamas. It's like this, but a little wider banding. But look at that, it's hypnotic. You know, and believe me, out in the middle of the jungle somewhere, there might be plants this good, but we don't have them. And so hybridizing is the way we, you know, make ourselves a hobby. Orange Crush, bad shot, small shot, sorry. And Palmeiras, and this is it's a mini, but it's sort of a nice sprightly mini. It's about a 6-inch spread and about 6 or 8 inches tall, named after his hometown in Costa Rica. And we've got, what is this, Paula, and that's an old one, you know, probably 30 years ago or something. And we've got, what's this, Fitz. This is typical Chester strange humor. P period, H period, I period, T period, S period. Piss holes in the sand. I'm not kidding. That's what the name really is. Piss holes in the sand for that way those spots are. Okay. And Picasso. I think I have a second Picasso. Let's see. No. Let's go back for a minute. Look at this thing. And there are better clones of it. But I mean, you'll see that this looks, you can tell it's from the period when maybe Lorena was done and maybe Crayola, that period. And, you know, according to Chester, what's this? Pimiento. This is around. So, you know, I'm sorry about that shot, but it's around. But, Predator. Now, you ask me, it looks a lot like Milagro, but it is different. You know, part of the issue for Chester is he registers stuff when he can. He gave up with them. But what happens is people will fly to Florida, whether from Thailand or Australia, and they'll spend their hard-earned money, and they'll take the risk of shipping the plant back, and they'll pay maybe hundreds of dollars per plant to go through the process to have the plant go through agriculture there. So, you know, if they end up with a plant that they can then propagate over 20 years, well, they just name it the name they want and sell it as an exclusive product. But it's Chester's plant. He wants the plants to get to the people, however they get. This is Predatrice, not Predator. And then we got Guantanamo. What's my time like, folks? Where am I? Paul, do you know where I am? How much time do I have left? 8:25? I got like 30 minutes left? Good. Because I want to make sure to take you on the web. This is one of my favorites ever. It's a Quasar. And that's a real mini, you know, 4 to 6 inches. You can clearly see the Lilliputiana in it. Now, you know, I know many of you have Lilliputiana, and I think you know how slowly it grows. You know, puffs maybe once every 5 years, and it's just crazy. But he's got a whole mess of other stuff in there. There's probably 6 parents in this thing. And like I say, he has about 40 or 50 dynamite, variegated little ones like this. You can do nothing but collect the little variegated ones. Rambunctious. probably one of the older hybrids, not that complex. And interesting here is he went for lining the leaves up. That's on purpose. That's not just somebody going right or wrong. And we got Raphael, very famous, was grown in the hundreds of thousands in Europe. Again, simply by seed and pup though, because we've gone over this before. It has to do with the nature of the variegated plants. If you take a pup that comes up that looks like this, and you send it to cloning, what you get is something green. It looks like one of the parents in the background genetics. You don't get this plant. It has to be grown from a pup that looks like this parent, and then it'll be the next pup. That's if it's stable. Okay, Royal Beauty, an older one. Let's keep moving. I don't want to get Royal Tiger, another older one. But look at the beautiful sheen, and again, the thing you really notice. I don't know if I sound like a broken record, but the balance of the conformation. Right? If this thing was lopsided, he would either breed it out or throw it away. He doesn't settle for it. And, I love people's backyard hybrids, but most of them are crappy, just to be honest. Okay, Skotak's Tiger, which again was most likely some kind of a sport that led to a cultivar. It's a bad shot. I should have gotten you a better shot. Simply Red. Looks a little bit like Zoe, but it's bigger than Zoe. Zoe is the variegated form of, what do you call it? Come on, the little red one we all have. Can't think of it right now, sorry.
Fireball.
Fireball, thank you, sir. Yeah. Skinny Mini. So, kind of an upright form, less leaves, but still fun. And again, you grow it in a basket in the air, oh my God, what a great plant. One of my favorites of anything he's ever done, Snow Tiger. And they got this over in Australia. They sell it by 10 different names, but it's all from him. That's a big plant. It's not just that he's close. It's not just that he's close to the camera. I think believe it or not, I think this is some guy in Germany. Again, some of these things I get off my planet. Spicy Hot, older one. All right, let's keep moving. Starfire, well, you can't see. Yeah, these little, I'm sorry, some of these you just can't, he doesn't have photos, and unless you shoot them at a show, and there's so many of them. Yeah, I would like to actually shoot a book and do like a biographical documentary on him, but I have no money, so it won't happen. Maybe if I can do it next year, it'll help me. But, Stellar Blast. That's a MIDI, but it's got good balance, and look at those freckles. And some of the clones have a lot more spots than that. I gotta get a sip. Tantalizer. So this is very different for him, and that's got to be 35 years ago. The wide, almost bell-shaped leaves, where they're skinnier where they come out of the cup. Kind of nice though. Thriller, another one with Lilliputiana in the mix, Ampulicea, probably Carolinea, and then maybe some other larger plant in there, even if though it's a mini. One of my all-time favorites ever, Tunisia. And some of the clones are much darker purple than this. And this may be off color because of the photograph, but who knows. But you have to this is a plant you have to see close up. It's only about 10 inches, but it's so beautiful, the color in relation to the form. And one of my all-time favorites, Whiplash. Whack, Whiplash, neck spinning. Great mini, a larger mini, but look at the growth habit. And it puffs a lot. All right, what's next? Now we're into the White Rabbit, and I have a few photos of the crappy one. This is, God rest his soul, this is Don Masumi. His plant, that's his hand. This was at his house when I visited one time. But this wild rabbit, it's stubbier. It's got wider, stubbier leaves. And look at this, wild rabbit growing in Australia. So slightly different clone, and grown with different nutrients and different temperatures. There's one more, is this? Yeah. And you say, was that wild rabbit? Yes, it is. But now to me, this isn't as good of a clone. I'd still want to collect it, but, just to refresh your memory, look at this one. A lot more interest. And, all right, where are we now? Yang! And I don't have good shots of these. But yin and yang have been in the trade here forever. Paul's got them down at Rainforest. You can get them online easy. This is yang, and that's yang again, and this is yin. So the idea was that it was a reverse. The album margination was reversed. This has pink edges, the other one I think has green edges. Well, you get the These are both very large plants, 16, 18 inches. They're nice collectible. Whoops, I'll go back. My other favorite miniatures. Zero gravity. And again, you can see it's so obvious, the Lilliputiana in there, but Ampulicea, Carlinea, again, I wish I had all the notes, but we don't have time to really, delve into it here. But Zoe, named after one of his daughters. And that's a terrible photo. I wish I had a better photo. It's around, we've got it, and collectors here have it. Another one of my favorite ones of his, Gizmo. And it's a real tiny one again. Lilliputiana is one of the parents. So, any of these Lilliputiana hybrids, the problem is they're slow as hell. The ones with 2 or 3 pups are probably 10 or 15 years old. And that's from pups, that's not from seed. All right, so here's an interesting, just to give you some concept. I went to the 2012 Florida, the Orlandiana, the BSI, what do you call it, World Bromeliad Conference in Orlando, Florida in 2012. And it was a great show, but it was kind of insular, they didn't have the public in there. This was brought by Michael's Bromeliads, and he acknowledges straight off the bat that it's Chester created this. It doesn't have a finished name, but he keeps it by formula. That's called formula up above, where you have the parents. And you see, again, this is a very complex plant. You're looking at, 15, 20 years of breeding. Again, maybe parallel lines, but so Carlinea times Hannibal Lecter times Norman Bates, and then all of that times Shakara Dom A, which is the better clone tiger. That's at least 20 inches, 22 inches. It's a huge plant, and I don't have it. And so here's, this is just a brand new one. It's a close-up of one of the miniature, I don't know which hybrid, but just look at the blue flowers all at once, nice shot. So there he is in the nursery, and what? That's the garbage. The garbage. I know, I cringe, because any of us, you and I, we could have formed a whole collection on the garbage. And you gotta remember, there's 70 or 80,000 or more going into the grinder and then into the compost pile every year. I mean, he's probably got an acre or 2 of seedlings every, it's crazy. So, again, this is one of the things I love about Chester is he's very meticulous in terms of his final product. He's a funny, affable, great guy. He's got all these kids, he's got a beautiful wife. I would give my right arm to go visit him. I may find some money to go do it someday. But that's probably 5 or 6 years ago already. And let's see, what else? He does breed some Pitcairnias. I think this is one of his. It's called Oddfellow. So, you say, well, this doesn't look like a regular bromeliad, and it doesn't to us because we don't see many Pitcairnias. Nobody grows that many Pitcairnias. But it turns out that there's don't hold me to it, but there's like 700 or 800 species, just the Pitcairnias. It's the largest amount of individual species in a given genus in the bromeliad family. And mostly, from Peru down to wherever, the rock faces, they require a lot of moisture. But they are stunningly beautiful. And what he's going towards, what he wants to eventually, he told me this a couple of years ago, he would love to develop one specific one that could take drier conditions that had this kind of formula so he could introduce it as a garden plant around the world. And, if anything he can do on a mass scale brings him a little money. That's he grows a lot of species, pits, we call them pits, picarnias. Because he goes, he's not far from Panama, and he goes down all these places about once a year, every other year, and brings stuff back, seeds or cuttings. That's a species, Nigra variety Pachella. And I think it's a stunning spike. All right, we're almost done. I think that, with the slides, and I'm going to take you on a little tour on the web in a minute, if I have reception. Anic. And this is what all of you have, or we have in Southern California. It's sort of like Zoe, but it's way bigger. It's a nice intermediate. See? Oh, come on. All right. So I was focusing on the Neos tonight. He does work with a lot of Tillandsias, but he's more interested in the floral ones, so he tends to work with the Cyanias, which are, now it's called, come on, help me, Wallacea. They took it out of Tillandsia, created a separate genus. And he has like 50 great ones, like this. Multiple higher, lower, purple, white. It's incredible. Maybe some night we'll talk just about the Tillandsias. Standard Tillandsia liboldiana. But look at that clone. I mean, it's a good one. That might be it. Let's see. Nope. Oh, here he is with Peter Tristram. Most of you won't know him. This man is 80% of the backbone of the Australian bromeliad world. When I say that, I mean he's an avid collector. He's on the board of the BSI. He goes to every single world conference. He goes collecting every other year when he can afford it. So that's, we used to call Vreesia ospinae gruberi, which is now the genus is now Gaddea. So in other words, the botanist has found that the flower has this, it's a certain size. It differentiates itself slightly from the main Vreesia genus, so they have a subgenus called Gaddea. And now, this is amazing. Chester is so on the ball. Look at this. This is crazy. I love this thing. Vrees Gaddea supernatural. So he actually isolated a Vreesia that he liked and a Gaddea that he liked that were both related to Ospinae gruberi, and then crossed them in. It's got better conformation. You see it's got nice leaf quality there. I don't know what it looks like in bloom. I think that's the end of the slides, but don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. Okay, let's get rid of this. Now we're going to take a little journey. Let's see if everything's running. Oh, good. We don't have Facebook yet. Okay, so how do you find stuff on the web? How the heck do you do it? 1 second. Sorry to. Hey, we've got stuff. You're all going to get this email once Gene does it. So one of the best sites that's just easy to go to get photographic confirmation. If you have a name of something, if you got something, you don't know what it is, I'm going to show you one path to possibly getting it without bringing it here to the club. But, so this is the FBS site, and let's see. Okay, over here off the screen, do you see that? This is the photo index. Do you see where I'm moving my cursor? So if those are genera. Let's see, do I want to move it over? Why not? Let's bring it on the screen so you can really see it and learn. So once this goes directly to that index on the left, and that's the main site to the right. This is what you will see on your own computer. And then you may have to download a little widget or other thing to run the index on the left, but you can see the names, like here's what's the key. Let's find something you know. Sorry. Hohenbergia. Well, most of you don't know it, but okay. So these are the species, and you click it, and here you're going to get, basic information. Maybe not the best photos, but you understand that the Florida Council of Bromeliad Societies is the oldest conglomerate of bromeliad societies anywhere. They joined together to build this website, and they operate together. They have about maybe a 20-year jump on most Californians, meaning, starting in 1950, there were some serious collectors back then. But, so, he says, so we're at, well, the name is somewhere up here. Where's the name? Right there, Castanosa. And then you might be able to click on each one of these and see examples of it. So if you have an idea what the name is, let's go back to the genus list. So here's the genus, genera, and there's, currently there's about 58, right? So let's go to Tillandsia, and it starts, A, B, C. I mean, this is not rocket science. But, to figure out what it is, okay, that might be a little harder. All right, FCB, and you're going to have the link, Florida Council of Bromeliad Societies. One source. Now, there's a guy named Eric Gouda, like the cheese, out in the Netherlands. And this is aside from my planets on Facebook, which are only 10 years old, this is what's called the Bromeliad. And the older ones here will know what this is. It's the oldest Bromeliad form ever on the web. It's from like 30 years ago. But the thing about the Bromeliad, I'm not trying to put it down, but for those of you who aren't computer savvy, it's a little more in-depth to figure out what to do with it, okay? It's all small typing, so if you're like me, where we got these reading glasses, you can join it for free. You can put up shots. Eric is one of the world's top people in bromeliads, and he developed a secondary site that's much more applicable to the general public, and you're going to see it in a minute. It's called the Encyclopedia of Bromeliads, but it's $10 a year. Now, he isn't making a dime on it. He works at the Utrecht, at the University of Utrecht. Everything he does is for the love of the plants, but they had to buy a special server just to do the encyclopedia, so you're paying a little to be there. So here's the Bromeliad. You'll have the link. Further down here, there's a place to join and reply. It tells you the rules. And, once you get into it, see, here's the Bromeliad function list. So it's a little, the point of why I like my planets, and I'm not trying to push them on you, but you'll see in a minute why I like them. You put a picture up, you don't know what it is. You say to the audience of 19,000 worldwide Bromeliad freaks like us, what the hell is this? And you're probably getting an answer in 10 seconds. Maybe it takes a day, but you're going to get some kind of answer. All right, Bromeliad, you will have the link. Let's move on. You've got, okay, so here's his Encyclopedia of Bromeliads. Now you'll see the Florapix name is that's his main server, florapix.nl, Netherlands. And this is where there's somewhere to join here, and you put your credit card and you get it for $10. I'm telling you, it's to die for, because what he is he has the entire database of 30 years of ID'd and non-ID'd plants from the Bromeliad. See, I'm guessing he has 50,000 or 60,000 photos or something deep in there. But this is the entry place, this is where you have to sign up. It's worth it, okay. Again, you would, it tells you what to do. Introduction, you would click on it, you would go to a genus, you would look for a species. It's just like any other botanically relevant site. All right, let's come back. Here's good old BSI. And this is you've probably all been there or seen it. But how this is helpful, other than joining and doing things you want to do like that, is under bromeliads here, you can see it says Bromeliad Registry. And this is one of the greatest things they have. So, whereas FCBS, the Florida Council site, will have a lot of species, this is the botanically relevant site for hybrids. And they're hybrids that have been done by people like you and I, and also by professional hybridizers. So, to the left here, these are the genus. So let's say you go, let's go to Gaudea, which is that, right? And look, there's not much, because there aren't that many registered hybrids yet. But if you go, let's see, where's our back? Back. Yeah. So let's go to, I can't see it here. Let's just go to Bilbergia. So here's Bilbergia. I don't know, what are there? Hundreds? 1,000?
1,043 it says.
Oh, thank you. Where's it, top?
1,049.
Where are you looking?
Right next to Bubba.
Oh, thank you. Teaching me about something I didn't even see. Thank you. So, species, what are there? They claim there's about 5,000 species per million, which, that's just stone knife work. There's probably 5,000 more out in the habitat we don't know about. But my point is that, given time, you get thousands and thousands. With orchids, there's millions, literally millions of human hybrids. Okay, so you see it, you know how to use it. Join them if you feel like. They have a great journal. It's a little bit of a backward society, in my opinion. They're very insular, but it's okay. They do what they do. Okay, now, you say, well, I hate Facebook. Well, so do I. But you know what I like? I like my planet groups, and I'm not just saying it because it's mine. Here's what it is. It has all the functionality of regular Facebook, but there's no politics, there's no religion, there's no bullying, there's no shooting, there's no criminals, there's no whatever, no riffraff. This is Planet Bromeliad, you see it there. This is, tonight there's, what does that say? Over here, 19,527 members. And here's why I'm bringing it up as a resource for identification. It isn't just that you can go here and do something. So let's do something. We're gonna go here to, let's see, Chester's stuff. Here we go, right? We're looking inside my computer right now. Most of you know this, but for those who don't really get it, Stellar Blast. And we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna say, I can't see a damn thing. Hello, folks. All right, so that's the post before it's posted. Whoops, sorry.
Your spelling left something to be desired, confused.
Yeah. I don't know what the heck it's doing. Yeah, I'm trying to do this in the dark, so I'm blind. Hello, whoops. It's worth finishing. Hello, does it say hello, folks? Yes. Now the automated system finds people with that name. So we hit enter, we go down below, and we go post. And whoops, okay, so I do so much posting that I'm serially, constantly restricted. I have to claim I'm not a robot or a spammer. And sometimes they make me jump through hoops by going through a CAPTCHA system. In either case, wham! We just posted on Facebook. So that's fun, okay. But now let's say, okay, so this has been operating almost 9 years now. We probably have 15,000 photos. One of the generous things about Facebook is they give you a lot of memory space. I mean, they're billionaires, so they can afford it. But it is, remember, I can, just to refresh your memory, I can click here, go to home, and now I'm in the regular feed with all the riffraff and all the crap you don't like about Facebook. That's crazy. Why would I want to do that? I can go back and stay in the safe harbor of Planet Bromeliad. You gotta remember, there's Planet Philanthia, Planet Orchid, Planet Cactus, well, 325 of them, 750,000 members. Why is this good though? See this little tiny thing here? Now this is part of something I contributed to, meaning I was one of the earliest people to develop these groups. Facebook actually contacted me and I worked with the developers and I said, if you want to make this relevant to plant people, you gotta have a search function. So, let's say what I want to do is find, and the more letters you have, the better chance, Regelia, what did I call it? Stellar Blast, right? Stellar, sorry, I'm typing in the dark. That's never any good. Get a space. I'm sorry, Stellar, what'd I do?
It's all right.
Stellar, hold on. You've got to put the most you can, otherwise it doesn't, the search system doesn't, all right. So what I'm querying now is I'm querying the master computer that can search the database of this site, of Planet Bromeliad. I go like this and look. So this would be whatever relevant postings of Stellar Blast or something similar. In other words, see, luminosity looks like it. So it comes up. But here's Marcus Bromes. This guy's from, I think he's from Philippines. And you click on this. Here's the original post. And look, his stellar blast is a lot, oh, no, yeah, stellar blast has a lot more color. Now that's I'm teaching a little bit how to use Facebook. That is a multiple photo post. So here's the first photo in the post. The arrow shows up just like any other photo system. And here's his next photo of it. Here's his next photo of it. And I think there were only 3. So you go up here to the corner, you click that, and you go back. But this is just to show you that here's a search function to find what you want inside Planet Bromeliad. You can also go to the photos. Okay, now this is interesting. Look at that top left corner. That's the one I just put up, right? But look what it is. You can scroll.
Can you wrap it up because we're running late?
I'm sorry. You can scroll down and see these are probably just the first 50 or today. There's 15,000. You could scroll till you were stinky and
Click
right.
on one of those photos, will it tell you the name?
In general, people will put the name. Do you see up here where it says Neo Tornado? See up there? Some people don't know the names, and we don't hurt their pride by not. We prefer to have names, but you don't have to. All right, one last thing. Let's just show you real quick. I know you got to go. So here's Planet Talansia. Same setup. So you got to go on Facebook. You got to join. You got to ask to join here, and I put you in, and then you're a member, and that's it. You treat people nicely. And, okay, wait, I have one last thing I want to show you. General knowledge, real quick. Sorry to do this, but I have to. Let me just show you one quick thing. So let's, so you may or may not know that you can, so let's click on this. That's the guy's photo. I'm going to take it to my desktop. I'm going to get out of Facebook real quick. I'm going to go over here to 1 second. Watch this. I just want you to realize that you have, from the trillionaires, a very valuable gift. And some people don't know this. If I type up here, whether I type in the middle there or in this bar, that's the search bar. If I go to Lanzia Rantos, okay? Now I'm in regular Google now, right? Remember, I'm in regular Google. So here comes attributions. The first several are some people selling stuff. You got to go down to find other stuff. If you click on images, though, now you're going to get images, and many of these are copyrighted, but you can steal them and use them for personal purposes. You just can't resell them. So this would be different kinds of Telansiaranthos, right? But I wanted to know what the one we put on the desktop was. Remember over here, see where I'm moving? Well, watch this. Once you're in the images section, you can do what? You grab it on the desktop, and look what appears. Drop image here. And you now have a multi-billion-dollar computer that's going to pattern match the image and see if you can find anything like it to tell you what it is. Now, our image is unique, but if you go down here a little further, it's going to give you some that are close. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you were to click, let's say, on one of these, click, and what you're going to get is you're going to see wherever it was. Okay, there it is. It's not the right thing. But very often you're going to have a name over here. It's not botanically cogent, but some of them are. What I'm trying to say is, if you're just lost, you don't know what something is, and you want to let the billionaires give you a little leg up, this is your chance. You can dump a photo into Google, and you may get an answer. Okay, so now you've got some idea.
You could take your own picture and post it?
Yes. And, well, it's not even posting it. What you're doing is you're dumping it into the Google pattern matching algorithm system. And, for instance, if we were to okay, let's watch it just real quick. Let's steal this. Right? Just right click on left click, put it on the desktop. Let's go back up. Let's take it again. Hold on, let's just click images, back to the top.
Okay, Barry, you need to wrap it up because we're running late.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. But if you drop this back in here, drop image here, the one we stole, watch what happens. Watch this. So ours comes up, and you'll see that it's a similar one to it's exactly this one. If there's an exact match, usually they put them up here, but it knew it was Tillandsia cyanea. Okay, so you got it. I've now given you some tools. This exact email will hit all of you. You have no excuse now. These are the direct links. And hopefully you will learn more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Warming up a little.